One of the most exciting things about fall is that we can finally wear coats and jackets again. So today I want to go over 5 of the best options at different price points. Personally, I buy most of my outerwear secondhand, so I'm also going to give you lots of options for that. The first jacket on the list is probably the most iconic fall jacket out there, and that's a classic wax jacket. This type of jacket has been worn and appreciated by men from all walks of life. And there are many reasons for that. First of all, it's very practical because it's one of the best options for wet and cold weather. And on top of that, it's an extremely versatile jacket because you can wear a wax jacket with very casual outfits, but on the other end, you can even wear it on top of a suit. A wax jacket has a rugged but elevated aesthetic, and it makes you instantly think of the British countryside and fall. The most famous brand for wax jackets is of course Barbour from the UK. They have a lot of different models, but I think one of the best options would be either the Beaufort or the Border wax coat. And the reason for that is that they are both longer, so you can wear them on top of a sport coat, and also it's going to be a little bit more comfortable in cold weather. If you buy a Barbour jacket new, they are around 400 euros, so they're not exactly cheap, but I think it's still a reasonable price. However, if you look on the second-hand market, you can typically find them for around 50% of the retail price. Personally, I don't own a wax jacket yet. I have a jacket here by Gant that I bought second-hand that is sort of my poor man's version of a Barbour jacket, because it only cost me about 50 euros, and I think it looks great for fall. If you don't want to spend 400 euros on a Barbour jacket, there are also a couple of other brands that produce very affordable wax jackets. One of these would be Hawks from the UK. It was mentioned by one of you in my previous video. I cannot vouch for the quality because I've never tried them, but I mean for the price, you really can't complain. Another alternative would be Walker and Hawks, who are also very affordable, but again, I cannot vouch for the quality. And on the secondhand market, you can find a lot of affordable wax jackets by Mac Orvis, but I'm not sure about the quality here. I've never personally tried it. And on the other end, if you want a truly premium version of the classic wax jacket, then one of the most interesting options is the Wax Walker by Private White VC and Permanent Style. It's an absolutely beautiful jacket, handmade in Manchester, and it comes with lifetime repair service. The next jacket on the list is another absolute classic, a trench coat or raincoat. This is a very versatile option because it works equally well with casual outfits, but you can also wear it with a suit to the office. I think the best colors here would be the classic khaki, navy, green, or brown. This is one of my personal favorites for fall. But when you're looking for a trench coat, you want to look out for a couple of key details. If you can, you want to go for a trench coat that is relatively long. So it should at least cover your knees, and it can even go all the way up to the middle of your calves. This typically looks more flattering, and it's going to protect you better from the weather. If you can, then also look for ones with a larger collar, because those are going to look more interesting than the whimsy collars you see on modern coats. And if you can find a trench coat with a removable inner lining, that's going to be absolutely perfect, because that way you're covered for all types of weather fluctuations, and you can even wear the coat in the beginning of winter. Because these three factors are very difficult to find in modern coats unless you go to the $1,000 price range. We're going to talk about that in a second. My personal recommendation is always to look on the second-hand market, because you can find a lot of really beautiful trench coats that have all these features for around $20 to $100. I bought this trench coat here for less than 25 euros. It was made in France and the length is perfect. And this one here was made in the US, and it also has a removable inner lining. And again, it was also less than $25. Classic brands here would be, of course, Burberry or Aqua Scudum, but they are going to be a little bit more expensive. So they are going to be mostly between $100 and $200. More affordable brands on the second-hand market would be, for example, London Fog or Brooksfield. They are typically in the $25 to $50 price range. If you want to buy a new trench coat, it's actually surprisingly difficult to find a nice one. They are typically going to be in the $1,000 price range. A good example for this would be Gloverall, who produce some absolutely beautiful trench coats. Cordings would be another great option, as well as Grenfell. They all produce very high quality trench coats in a similar price category, and they are going to last you for many years. A bit more affordable would be this trench coat here by Possetka, which costs 641 euros. And if you want something really affordable and you're okay with sacrificing some quality, then one of you recommended in my last video Quins, because for $129 you can get a coat that has a pretty good length and also a quite nice looking collar. Another classic and a little bit more casual transitional jacket would be the Harrington jacket. A Harrington jacket has a bit of a sporty vibe, and it's great for casual and slightly elevated casual outfits as well. And of course, it's perfect for the Ivy look as well. Now, because the Harrington jacket is typically quite cropped, you won't really wear this on top of a sport coat, but you can sort of wear it as a replacement for a sport coat, which is why you see a lot of people wearing a Harrington jacket with a tie, which I think looks pretty nice actually. And the most iconic one is of course the Barracuda G9, because this is also the original Harrington jacket. They are still made in the UK, and for around 400 euros, I think it's a relatively reasonable price. And you can find pretty good deals on them secondhand as well. But if you want a more affordable option, then you could try, for example, Ben Sherman, which only costs £110, and you can find lots of them on the secondhand market for as little as 30 euros. And then Merck offers a very affordable Harrington jacket as well for just £92. And occasionally Uniqlo also offers their own version of a Harrington jacket, which is very affordable. And because this is such an iconic design and many brands have released their own version of a Harrington jacket, this is one of the best items again to buy secondhand. The jacket I'm wearing right now, for example, I again found it on Vinted for less than 20 euros. And it might not be the same quality as a Barracuda, but for me, I don't really mind in this case. I would rather save that money and then spend a little bit more on a sport coat, for example. The next fall jacket may not be the most practical one for the season, but it's very stylish and works very well with the seasonal colors. A suede leather jacket. I think this is one of the most beautiful jackets for fall, but the downside is of course that suede can be very expensive. So if you buy a jacket like this new, they are typically going to be between $500 on the low end, all the way up to $2,000 on the high end. But because it's a very popular design, you can find these on the secondhand market typically between $50 and $250, depending on the quality and the brand. But if you want to buy a new suede jacket, then for example Iron and Resin has a rugged suede leather jacket for just $469, which is actually pretty cheap for suede. A bit more expensive and less rugged would be this one here by Spear & Mackay for $648. And if you want something truly special, this jacket here by Y2 Leather looks absolutely incredible. It's made in Japan, and from the reviews I read online, it's supposedly one of the best qualities in the world. Drake's has a couple of beautiful options as well, but they're also very expensive at around $2,300. If all of this is too expensive for you and you want to get a similar effect, then you could actually also go for a corduroy jacket, which are going to be much more affordable, and they are a great option for the season. The last jacket on the list is a classic military or field jacket. Now these ones are usually not the warmest, so they are better as a short transitional piece, but I love the design and they are surprisingly versatile. They are great for casual outfits, but you can even wear them with more elevated outfits as well. And because this is such a popular design and there are many vintage options out there, this is another great option for the second-hand market, because you can find some beautiful options for as little as $20. And a nice side effect of buying a thrifted military jacket is that it's going to have a worn-in look, which is going to make your outfits more interesting. For more premium second-hand versions, Markt has some excellent second-hand military jackets, for example, from very good brands. But if you want a new military jacket and you want something truly special, then look no further than a Japanese brand again. In this case, the real McCoys, because they make some of the most beautiful and well-made jackets on the market. Another great brand would be Buzz Rigson's, also from Japan. Gentlemen, these were 5 of my favorite jackets for fall. Which of these do you already own? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and see you next week.